Hey folks, it is September 10th at 10:15 p.m. and I was inspired today to do a video about specifically sort of my life and where I'm at, and certainly the circumstances of some different experiences that have happened for me in the last 9 months. So this video isn't directly related to being trans, and I've said that with a couple of other videos, but I think that my life, everything is related to being trans because I am, and that doesn't just go away based on certain circumstances or situations. So I mentioned, I think the last video or something, that my brother passed away. He died on Thanksgiving Day, so it's been 9 months or so. I guess coming up on 9 months roughly. So over the last 9 months or so, it's been very interesting because, as you all know who've been watching my videos since I first started posting like 4 years ago or so, 4.5, that my relationship with my brother was complicated at best. We hadn't seen each other in quite some time prior to his death, and when we did see each other, it was a pretty volatile relationship. He and I very much disagreed about almost everything. But what we shared was very, very deep sense of love and compassion for people. And we ultimately demonstrated that very differently. And up until my brother's death, I actually didn't even know about that side of him. And in the last 9 months, I really come to learn about a completely different side of my brother, a person who essentially I never met, which is ironic because he also never met me. The last physical contact that we had, the last time we saw each other, was probably at least a year, maybe more, before my transition. And so I was still his sister in physical form for him. And we'd only spoken one time on the phone since I transitioned, and it was a very, it was kind of an unpleasant phone call, although he could have said anything to me, and he did. He wasn't very nice, but he could have pretty much said anything to me, but I was just so thankful that I was able to talk to my brother on the phone, because in my adult life, that was only the third time that had ever happened. So a very conflicting sort of an experience. But anyway, so short of that and him being able to hear my voice, he had never met me. And so I'd mentioned there's some irony in that, because my brother, and I want to be very respectful of him and his memory and still right to privacy, but his relationship with me and my family was complicated, and it wasn't always very nice. And that was sort of just the picture that I had of him, and I didn't consider that there was something more or deeper to him, which is now on my part, in hindsight, ultimately a very shallow perspective for me to have. And it's unfortunate that that was the perspective that I had while he was alive, and now it's the perspective that I have when he's dead. I wish I could have come to that place while he was still alive. So right after Todd, my brother, died, a lot of people started communicating and talking about what a wonderful man that he was, and how caring and how gentle, and, well, not gentle so much, but how caring and generous and giving he was. And he was loved tremendously by his community, and he was sort of the go-to guy that if anyone needed anything, it was Todd that they called. So so I started hearing all these stories, and in the time of like that first week or so after he died, there was such a level of shock that I wasn't even really to take those things in. Like, my response was like, oh, thank you for your sympathies, and so on and so forth. As the stories continued to come in, and it came time for his service, and the amount of people that wanted to be there was so large that we actually had to have it in a high school gymnasium to accommodate everybody. And Todd lived in a very small community, and everyone from like the local ranchers to the police officers who Todd had contact with showed up there to honor him, and it was an interesting experience because I had written the eulogy, or the obituary rather, and ultimately ended up writing and giving the eulogy. And this was for a man that I didn't know and hadn't seen for many years, and didn't have a very good relationship with. And so the fact that it was me doing this was surprising. I didn't think much about it, in the moment. It was just a need, and so I did it. But it was also my coming out. All of those people from high school, and none of his friends or none of the people in his world knew that he had a sibling, and if they did, then they thought that he had a sister. And so when I got up in front of this crowd of people, without even thinking about it because of the circumstances, I was coming out to an entire group of people in my past that were not at all in my present. And so there was no way for them to know that I was trans. So the stories about my brother kept coming in and how he was giving and how he was wonderful. And it got to the point where it was actually too painful for me to hear, because I was hearing about this man that I didn't know and that I never saw. And in fact, the man that I knew and saw was pretty much in stark contrast to the person that he showed everyone else. And so that was really hard to process, because I immediately thought, well, gosh, what was it about me? Which is both pretty a self-centered thought, but it's also a very realistic thought for somebody who had experienced trauma with somebody, and that person didn't seem to create that level of trauma with other people. So it was really hard not to sort of think about, like, why, what was there about me that made him dislike me so much. So ultimately, over a period of time, it became too much for me to handle, and I sort of had to go off Facebook and had to stop interacting with people. And I was really angry at my brother, because not angry that he died, but I was angry that he was so kind to everyone else and such a jerk to me. And I was having a really hard time grieving him because I was so angry, and in a lot of ways he felt like a stranger to me. And about 4 months after he died, I just sort of arrived at this place of really understanding that the anger that I had for him was only holding me back. It was only preventing me from my life and loving him and honoring him and feeling good about him and all the things that he was to me, instead of all the things that he wasn't. So 4 months in or so, I really started the grieving process pretty significantly. And then a few months later, in June, my wife Christy and I split up, and that was a whole nother level of adjustment and shock and grief in my life that process, and that was complicated because I was already still very much new in the process of grieving my brother because of the former delay. So what sort of prompted this video is today I've moved back to Chico, and Christia has stayed up in Southern Oregon. We're doing separate lives, and we're beginning divorced eventually, going through that process. And I do want to say right now that there was nothing terrible, there was nothing horrible. We both had just arrived at a place where it made sense that we separated and went our separate ways, and there's a lot of love between us, and there's a lot of honor and respect, and so it's really important that I get that out there, because I don't want anyone to think that anyone wronged the other person, because that is not at all what happened. So anyways, so I was walking my dogs today, and I was talking to my mom, and again, it's been 9-10 months or so since Todd died, and my mom got a phone call from a woman today in the town where Todd lived, and she said that she just wanted to talk to Todd Kennedy's parents because they had received a donation. She was with 40 or so. As a vegan, that's a little bit of a struggle, but the story is still good and worth it. So she had received a donation from Todd this year, and my mom thought, how is that possible? Because he died in November, so there'd be no way that he could donate money this year. So the short version is that he went and he donated money, and then prior to his death, obviously. and generated a bunch of other people to donate money, and went and at work converted his comp time into a monetary donation that ultimately went to 4-H, and apparently she received it sometime for the last year or so. And so the stories still trickle in about the beauty of my brother and the enormous depth of his character, and all of the ways that he has touched people's lives. And the fact that I could have such a contrasting relationship with him has really taught me that the way people act, or the way people behave, or even the way that people treat us is not always the story. It is not the entirety of who they are. And even people that hurt us and wrong us in really profound ways, the potential for something deeper and something more is always there. And so today I have full love and appreciation for my brother, and am able to completely forgive all of the history. And I've asked him for forgiveness, because certainly I was no angel, and we even though we did it in different ways, he didn't honor or respect me or my life. Certainly before I came out as trans, and when I identified as a lesbian, and definitely after I came out as trans, he just didn't honor or respect that in a way that was communicated to me. And then, conversely, I feel like I didn't honor or respect his life or his perspectives, and that's a real missed opportunity for me, but a huge lesson for me that I am thankful that I have been given. So tomorrow's my birthday, and I turned 36, and I got to tell you that had someone told me a year ago this is where my life would be, my 36th birthday, I would have absolutely said, not possible, not possible. And yet here I am, and it's really great, and I'm really happy that I've remained open to continuing to learn and grow in the experiences. And I'm happy that I am more vulnerable now than I think I've ever been in my life with intention. I choose to be vulnerable and accept and welcome love into my life as much as I give love. And that has also been sort of a new thing. I've given it a lot, but I've struggled receiving it. So I realize that I'm at 12 and a half minutes, and I've gone on and on a bit, and I hopefully have accomplished the message that I wanted to convey. I hope all of you are doing well, and that for all of you out there, all of us that have journeyed through this process of life and transition, that we take some of the life lessons that have been given to us as trans people, and really integrate them into our lives, and figure out how to make choices about what kind of human we want to be, and make choices about how we want to conduct our lives in ways that I wish everyone would. But I think as trans people, sometimes we are presented with those opportunities in a much more in-your-face sort of a way, and that's a gift. That's a true, huge gift, even if in the moment it doesn't feel like a gift. So anyways, now I'm at 13 and a half minutes. So hope you all are well, and we'll see you soon.